What is a probability? It's a number between 0 and 1. 0, an impossible event. For example, that you are not enjoying today. 1, a certain event. If an event has a probability of 1, it's certain. For example, you are enjoying today. Yeah, great, thank you. Fantastic, fantastic. Now, we like certainty. We like to know exactly what will or will not happen. Sadly, though, there are many grey areas in life. This is our grey area here, where there's uncertainty. But remember, just because you might have a high probability of something doesn't necessarily mean it will happen. My only equation for you today. Expectations, okay? Expectations of the future. The expectation of something, e.g., the expectation of the market cap of a company in a year's time, or expectations of the dividends that the company is going to pay next year or the year after that, etc., etc. So these X's, these are the possible outcomes. We typically always know what is possible, but we don't know in advance which thing will happen. So we will attach probabilities to those eventualities. The simplest case is in the binary setting. You've only got 2 possible outcomes. And so an expectation, I want you to always view this as a probability-weighted average. You take all of the known possible outcomes, and to them, you attach the probability of them occurring. So this is where you go to your calculator, you plug in the numbers for the X's and the P's, and out itself comes a number, the expectation. Now, I think everyone would always agree on the values of the X. They will likely disagree on what those probabilities of those values of X would be. And when there are different views on those probabilities, inevitably the numerical outcome you get for that expectation will change. So not only, let's say today, will people have to agree to disagree on what those probabilities are, even if we reached agreement today, tomorrow, things happen, good things, bad things in the world, relevant things. If they're relevant, they will have an impact in changing those probabilities. So when probabilities change, expectations change, and ultimately, things like your prices of assets or exchange rates, commodities, whatever, they themselves will change. So what I would like you to do, I'm not saying it's easy to do, no one has a magic crystal ball, of course, but if you can anticipate what the correct probabilities are, sometimes you might find these arbitrage opportunities in the market, whereby the market view actually is perhaps too optimistic for one outcome, too pessimistic on another. And if you think you know better than the market, potentially huge rewards await. So if we did purely things on a more qualitative basis, we're looking at subjective estimates. You know, what's the risk or chance of a pandemic? We've all lived through the 2020 pandemic. Let's go back to 2019. I very much doubt anyone in this room expected in 2019 a global pandemic in 2020, because in our lifetimes, we've not experienced pandemics. So, or like a stock market crash or a stock market boom. Some quasi-bespoke one-off events. Sometimes we are limited to these subjective estimates. Clearly, we'd like to draw upon data when possible. Sometimes we might do things, sorry, it's off the screen, using our sort of theoretical probability distributions. So data. I mentioned the pandemic, okay? Now, clearly now, benefit of hindsight, we know that there was a pandemic. Was it bad? It was clearly not good. Arguably, it could have been worse. It could have been much worse. It's not just is something good or bad. How good or bad it is relative to expectations. Okay? So indeed, let's say a company reported record earnings. I think NVIDIA, a few weeks, months ago, they produced, I think, a record earnings. The share price went down because the record earnings were, I think they were actually above analysts' expectations. It was very curious. Analysts expected this amount. NVIDIA reported something above that, so it exceeded expectations. Ordinarily, the share price would shoot up. But I think it was all of the hype about NVIDIA. They were almost expecting NVIDIA to beat the expectations, but now it's the margin of beating it. Maybe, I don't have a crystal ball, is that a sign of a bubble, perhaps, or overconfidence in the value of NVIDIA? I'll leave that as an open question. But remember, prices are one thing, but really as investors, you care about changes in prices.